The Duffer Brothers have openly said Elfen Lied was a direct influence on 11 from Stranger Things. Choirs on YouTube still cover its opening theme, and Dark Horse Comics paid real money to pick up the first ever English license for the manga in 2019, 17 years after it started. And yet, in over 20 years, not a single studio has touched a season 2 of Elfen Lied. The reason isn't a scandal. It's worse. It's the kind of slow, deliberate abandonment that kills a franchise without anyone ever having to say no out loud. Picture the last shot of episode 13. Lucy walks back toward the SAT team that's about to kill her, and as the music swells, the screen cuts to black. That shot wasn't a cliffhanger, and the guy who built it knew exactly what he was doing. Elfen Lied aired in the summer of 2004 on ATX, which matters here because ATX is a premium pay satellite anime channel known for airing uncensored versions of content that would be edited for regular Japanese TV. So the ceiling the show was greenlit under was built in from day one. 13 episodes with Studio Arms handling the animation and is being directed by Mamoru Kanbe. One critical fact that gets glossed over in every Why No Season 2 video is that the anime aired before the manga finished. Okamoto's manga ran in weekly Young Jump from 2002 to 2005, and when the anime began airing, roughly 7 of the 12 volumes had only been published. The manga wasn't done, so the anime couldn't continue. That's true, but it doesn't explain the next 20 years. That is because Kanbe didn't even want the job. Head writer Takao Yoshioka had to talk him into directing it, and then Kanbe made one creative choice that locked the door behind him before anyone else could come back through it. Kanbe reportedly storyboarded both episode 1 and episode 13 and wrote his own bookends, and the finale he built isn't ambiguous, it's a funeral. Lucy walks into a wall of soldiers. She doesn't escape, she doesn't transform, and she doesn't get rescued by Kota in some last-minute miracle. The story she's been carrying for 13 episodes ends with her taken out off-screen, while the camera lingers on the clock at the stairs where she and Kota first met as kids. It's a director making a thesis statement that this story is over. Now, compare that to where the manga actually ends 1 year later. The World Health Organization bans all human births globally to stop the diclonius outbreak until the vaccine is rolled out, and then the story jumps 10 years into the future. Kota, now married with a daughter, meets twin girls at those same stairs whose appearance strongly implies there's some kind of reincarnation of New and Kaida. Then there's the roster problem, which is wilder than most viewers realize. The manga ends with characters the anime never bothered to introduce, and the biggest cut is a young singer named Nozomi, which is a major manga character Kota and Yuka befriend in the second half of the story. She's the one who actually performs the song Elfen Lied, the same Hugo Wolf art song the show takes its title from. Okamoto has reportedly expressed frustration about Kanbe's decision because Nozomi was one of his personal favorites in the cast. The anime cut a character so central that the title itself loses a layer of meaning without her. Which means even if a studio wanted to greenlight a season 2 in, say, 2008, here's what they're walking into. The anime already killed the protagonist on screen, and the manga ending is built on characters that do not exist in the anime. You can't pick up where Kanbe stopped. You'd have to retcon a death scene and reintroduce half a cast. That's not a sequel, that's a reboot. But that's just the creative problem. The business problem is worse.
Ikitos and Elfen Lied's Studio Arms declares bankruptcy.
Studio Arms was never a prestige operation. They were founded in 1996 as a spin-off of Studio Kikan to handle hentai work under brands like Pink Pineapple and Green Bunny. Elfen Lied was one of their first real mainstream TV jobs in 2004. According to Tokyo Shoko Research, ARMS peaked at 390 million yen in net revenue in fiscal year 2009. By fiscal year 2011, their net revenue had fallen to roughly 260 million yen, which means the decline started right around when a season 2 might have been commercially plausible. In May of 2020, the shareholders voted to dissolve the company, and in July, the Tokyo District Court issued a special liquidation order. Studio Arms is legally dead. But here's the part that should end this conversation forever. In 2014, ARMS got another chance to adapt a Okamoto manga. They had the relationship, they had the rights conversation already half started, and they knew exactly which property had Western cult demand and a passionate fanbase begging for more. Instead, they picked Okamoto's next manga, Brynhildr in the Darkness, and not Elfen Lied. Think about what that decision actually means. The one studio in the world with the institutional memory and the existing creative relationship to revive Elfen Lied looked at Okamoto's catalog, looked at the unfinished business of his most famous work, and then chose to adapt his newer, less successful series instead. That is the loudest possible no in the anime industry, delivered without anyone having to issue a press release. And it wasn't only the studio that had moved on. After Elfen Lied wrapped up, Okamoto created No 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 in 2007, Brynhildr in the Darkness in 2012, then crucially Parallel Paradise in 2017, which planted him at Kodansha's weekly Young magazine. He hasn't launched a new solo-authored manga, Shueisha, which owns Elfen Lied. Okamoto has reportedly said the works carrying the Elfen Lied name didn't sell well in Japan. He's described as a private person who gravitates more toward love stories and ecchi rather than toward the kind of violence Elfen Lied is known for. He didn't enjoy creating it, he doesn't think it's sold, and he's not advocating for its return. The one piece of original Elfen Lied content he's produced since the manga ended in 2005 is a short bonus manga he drew for the 2012 Blu-ray box. It's a slice of life vignette where the characters eat snacks and look at the ocean, and it's set inside the anime continuity and not the mangas. That's the only thing for the last 20 years, a few pages of a beach trip that seems more like a goodbye postcard. So the studio quit, the author quit, and the question becomes whether the property could survive both of those exits if a brand new studio decided to take a swing at it. The answer is no, and the reason starts with how the anime industry actually decides what gets made. In 2004, whether an anime got a second season had almost nothing to do with how many people loved it around the world. It came down to one group of people sitting in a room in Tokyo looking at a spreadsheet. That group is called a production committee, and for Elfen Lied, it was 3 companies. ARMS handled the animation, Genko handled production, and VAP, which is a subsidiary of Nippon Television, handled the home video and music release. Any one of them could veto a continuation, but none saw numbers that justified one. The revenue pipeline that fed sequel decisions in that era was brutally simple: Japanese domestic disc sales, manga volume spikes, and merchandise. Not streaming deals, since those did not exist yet, and not Western licensing fees, since those were small line items on someone else's spreadsheet. Just Japanese discs and Japanese merch. And the threshold was steep because late-night anime in that window needed roughly 3,000 to 6,000 disc sales per volume just to break even, and with meaningfully higher numbers to justify greenlighting a sequel. Elfen Lied's disc sales never broke into Oricon's top ranks, and Okamoto himself has reportedly said his works did not sell well. But it did not underperform because it was bad. It underperformed because the show's content was locked onto ATX from the start, a subscription-only channel with a fraction of the audience that terrestrial broadcasts would have delivered. The show never had a chance to reach the audience size it needed to clear those sales bars because it could not air anywhere bigger. And that content problem didn't just cap the audience in 2004, it got worse. Even if someone inside that production committee had pushed for a season 2, the show's own content was closing doors faster than any fanbase could open them. In 2006, Adult Swim programming director Kim Manning posted publicly that the network had inquired about airing the show, but broadcast standards would have edited it so heavily it would have been incoherent, so they passed. In 2015, China added Elfen Lied to its blacklist of 38 banned anime titles. Now here's what the show actually contains. Mayu's backstory includes child abuse, while the Diclonius backstory in the source material includes a Nazi-themed conspiracy involving a facility called the Lebensborn Cave. There's child murder, and the inciting trauma of the entire series is a group of kids being death. In 2004, that was edgy late-night content, and by 2026, no streamer's trust and safety team is putting this near a recommendation queue without a legal meeting first. Sequels live or die on reach, and it requires platforms willing to host you. Elfen Lied started with almost no platform reach, and it's only gotten worse since. Elfen Lied never got a season 2 because the people who could have made it independently chose the same decision across 2 decades. Mamoru Kanbe closed the door in 2004 by writing a closed ending instead of a cliffhanger. The production committee never saw disc sales worth continuing, and Studio Arms confirmed it in 2014 by adapting Brynhildr instead. Okamoto signed off on it in 2017 by moving publishers, while the Tokyo District Court made it permanent in July of 2020 when it dissolved the studio. 11 was partly born from this show. Everywhere outside Japan, Elfen Lied is a phenomenon. Inside Japan, it's an orphan, and it most likely seems that nobody will be coming back for it. There are still dozens of anime that have come to an abrupt stop, so which anime do you want to hear next? Drop it in the comments, and subscribe if you want the rest of the franchise autopsies.